Hi there folks, welcome to Sumit Academy. In this video, we shall be taking a look at the need for a comprehensive internal security doctrine in our country. Though we have a large number of security agencies in our country, unfortunately, there is little or no coordination between them. Policies are usually dictated by the government in power, with no continuity in case of change of power. Again, cooperation between central and state governments in matters of security leaves much to be desired. Our country therefore needs a comprehensive internal security doctrine urgently. A doctrine which will lay out the channel of command and control and allocate specific responsibilities to each and every security agency. So, what should it be based on? In my opinion, it should be based on the following components. The first one, political. Assessing whether the challenge is secessionist, separatist, or regional. Reasons for the same to be analyzed. If the demands are genuine, whether any constitutional amendment is called for. A secessionist movement, as a matter of principle, will have to be put down with a very heavy hand. The country must have a clear policy and stringent laws to deal with such elements. Separatist elements would also have to be dealt firmly with a very heavy hand. Regional aspirations would require a comparatively softer approach. Ethnic demands should get a sympathetic response. The second part, socio-economic. Finding out if the challenge is due to genuine socio-economic grievances of the people. Are they suffering from acute poverty, unemployment, or displacement? In such cases, the socio-economic grievances will have to be addressed by planned development, ensuring that there are no regional disparities and the fruits of development are equitably shared by all sections of society. Besides, the spirit of nationalism will have to be fostered and de-radicalization programs undertaken. Third, administrative. Determining whether the administrative machinery has been dysfunctional in certain areas. Has the administration reached out to people in the remotest areas? If not, governance will have to be improved. Criminal justice system of the country must be revamped and the resources and the capabilities of the law enforcement machinery given necessary upgradation and augmentation. The administration and the police must be insulated from extraneous influences. Corruption must be contained for the simple reason that corruption and development cannot go side by side. Fourth, the military. The internal and the external dimensions of the challenges have got meshed and they impinge on each other. The country's armed forces, the paramilitary forces, and the Coast Guard should therefore be maintained at the highest levels of efficiency. The central government should, however, be careful to use the appropriate forces for a specific threat. Fifth, intelligence. The intelligence agencies must coordinate internally as internally with each other as well as with the agencies of friendly countries. It should have both defensive and offensive capabilities. Why defensive? So that they can forewarn and wherever possible neutralize the impending threats. And why offensive? Offensive to weaken such assets of the hostile country as are used for trans-border operations, as thankfully we have started doing of late. An important point to remember here is that in a situation where the challenges of governance, poverty, corruption, and unemployment continue to remain high, a state that is unable to provide basic needs to its citizens will face internal dissent. It is a great pity that our response to the various challenges has generally been feeble. We have a strong military muscle and our economic strength has been growing steadily. And yet, we have been dealing with the multifarious problems confronting the country in a manner which exposes us to the charge of being a soft state. These dividing issues within India will be utilized by external forces to keep India weak internally. And why so? So that its rise in international system is obstructed. For any government, it is not an easy task to meet the aspirations of a young and dynamic population in a country which is still developing and yet to reach the levels of growth in the developed world. So what else is required? It obviously calls for tremendous commitment on the part of its politicians, bureaucrats, the armed forces, and civil society. There is only so much resource available to a state at a given time. Distributing these resources amongst a billion or so population in a just and equitable manner is another daunting task. We can conclude this lesson by saying that the national power based on political stability, societal cohesion, and economic development remains central to the future of India's national security. And that is about all from me on the need for a comprehensive internal security doctrine in our country. My next series of videos will be on the various aspects of the Armed Forces Special Powers Act, or AFSPA as it is known. I do hope that the points I have given you are more than enough to build your 250 to 350 word answer. Remember, the UPSC examiners are pretty strict about the word limit, so always read the instructions on the number of words before you start writing your answer. Till then, as usual, stay cheerful and do remember to like and subscribe to my channel so that you do not miss out on my future videos. In case you have any doubts or you want additional videos, do remember to drop me a line at sumitacademy20@gmail.com or drop me a comment below this video. Cheers!